So how long does it take to fill up a sketchbook, and does anyone really even know? In this video, we are going to see exactly how much we can get done in a sketchbook in 10 hours. So back in June, one of my viewers, Mrs. Barnabas, hello, made a comment about a video that she saw, which I will link down below in the description box, in which a lady tried to finish a sketchbook and didn't rest or anything until she finished it. It was crazy and it was fun and it was awesome. Anyway, she said that it would be really cool if I could do something like that as a collaboration with a bunch of other YouTubers as well. And so back in June, I contacted a whole bunch of people, and then I contacted some people in July as I thought of them, and we even got some newcomers in August doing this very last minute. So it's so much fun. I challenged them to see how much they could get done in their sketchbooks in 10 hours. Who is part of the collaboration, you might ask? Well, let me tell you. We have Jake at Doomsayer Designs, Maggie at Creating Cute Art, Sketches and Scrubs, Made by Dawn, Jude and her pencil, Annie Noodle, Artsy Pineapple, and me. Yours truly. So how much can we get done in our sketchbooks in 10 hours? So when you're done with this video, make sure you go down to the description box below and check out the playlist for all of the other videos included in this challenge. I myself am dying to watch them, and it stinks that I'm going to be out on vacation because I don't think I have any service, so I may have to wait to watch all those delicious videos until I get back, but such is life. The interesting thing about this collaboration is that there were 5 other people that were part of it, but guess what? 10 hours is a lot of time to spend in a sketchbook, and those 5 other people just weren't quite able to fit it into their busy schedules because we also have jobs and kids and lives and other things, and so I wanted them to do it in 2 stretches, no more than 2 stretches. That was the hope anyway. Didn't quite work out that way for me, but I'll tell you about that later. And it just didn't work for those 5 other people, so that alone is a good point because sometimes it is hard to find time for art. And if you're trying to do a big stretch, that's a commitment. So I do want to thank everyone for trying, at least giving it a thought, thinking, yes, I could do this even if it didn't work out, because it was just for fun, and I want to show you guys how much I got done in my sketchbook in 10 hours. Let's get to it. What I've already started showing you is some progress on this Inktober sketchbook that I did last year. I did all of the 31 sketches for Inktober last year, and I used a Viviva sketchbook for that. However, that sketchbook came with 50 pages, so I didn't want to put something else random in the last 19 pages, and I decided that what I would do is continue the kitty saga, the kitty story, with the weekly Inktober prompts that happened after that. So I had a hard time actually finding the weekly prompts. For some reason, I got dropped from the Inktober mailing list, the email list, and that's where you can get them regularly without having to go search them up hardly. Anyway, I finally found them, and then had an even harder time finding the 2022 weekly prompts because I had enough pages that I was into 2022 weekly prompts for Inktober. So I finally found them, and I had a list. And I got the list, I wrote it down, and then I went to work. And at work, sometimes I have time to work on things while my students are working on their own art projects, and I didn't have that list with me. The list was at home, so I had to re-look up the 2022 prompts. So they are different than the list I had at home, and I think the list I had at home is correct, and the list I found while at work is not correct. So some of my prompts are not in the right order if you're looking at the 2022 Inktober 52 weekly prompts. But that's okay. It gave me a word to work off, and I got some really cute kitty sketches. Now, you may be noticing on here that I am not working in a sketchbook yet because I don't do that when it's something really important like this. This is something I'm going to be turning into a coloring book later and releasing as a watercolor coloring book, and maybe even just a regular kind of coloring book that's not quite so expensive as watercolor paper. Regardless, it's important. And I do a lot of erasing when I draw because I don't feel like I'm that great of a drawer, and I erase a ton, and I want to get it right. And by doing the drawings on this separate paper here, it allows me to get them right. And then when I'm perfectly happy with them, or somewhat happy, mostly happy with them, then I can transfer them into my uber super fancy sketchbook. So I did have time in class to work on a couple of these over the last month or so, and then for the sketchbook challenge, I just went all in. And this is just regular copy paper that I'm working on. I cut it to 7.5 by 7.5 inches, rounded the corners, and started my sketches based on the prompts that I thought were correct for Inktober 52. Oh well, I'm really, like I said, happy with some of the sketches, so it's okay that maybe my words are a little bit out of order. Also, since I wanted to film the entire thing for you, I did film it with my camera in time-lapse mode, so no sound or anything. It's already sped up, and I filmed it in 20 times the speed, and then I'm showing it to you at double that, so 40 times the speed. So this first stretch is a 4.5 hour stretch. I tried to do the full 5 hours, but I ran out of time. Like literally I had other things I had to get to. So I didn't get to start quite as early in the morning as I wanted to because my husband didn't realize what I was doing and was trying to have an important conversation with me about our lives and our future goals. And it was a really good conversation and stuff, but I'm like, I kind of have a 5 hour challenge I have to get to today. Anyway, I did 4.5 hours, and I'll come back to you at the end and talk to you about that. But in that 4.5 hours, I did take 1.5 hour break because this was where it was really intense for me. I was drawing this and coming up with all the ideas, finding reference photos. That's mentally intense, actually. You can see I use my light board a lot to copy over some poses and stuff from previous cats that I've drawn. But anyway, I took that 1/2 hour break, and then, yeah, once, I think maybe twice I had to get up and refresh my hot tea and then maybe use the restroom because I was sipping on my hot tea, who knows. But I know I took that 1/2 hour break in that 4.5 hour stretch, but I filmed and worked on my drawings 4.5 hours straight, and then I had to stop and do something else. I already mentioned the light box, but some other tools that were really useful for me were my mechanical pencil, obviously, and I like the 05 because it's a little bit harder of a lead. I like that Westcott see-through ruler is a lifesaver, and later on, the 6-inch one is also a lifesaver. Sometimes it's nice to have a shorter ruler. My eraser over there, I also use the tiny eraser on the end of the mechanical pencil and the little Tombow tiny eraser. Those were all super valuable tools in this, and you can see I use circle templates as well. Well, that part took 4.5 hours, so now we are ready to put all these sketches, the new sketches, in the existing sketchbook. Yay! So we have the 19 pages left in here. They're so cute. This is so fun. And if this doesn't take the last 5.5 hours, then we'll be able to start painting them, which will really be a finished sketchbook then. So on this guy, layers, I put the back kitchen counter too close to them. So when I trace this on here, I'm going to put them on, and then I'm going to scooch the sketch up and sketch that kitchen behind them. So it'll be farther away, and that is why I do this on a separate piece of paper, because these sketches are so hard. Just gives me some freedom, that's all. All right, so hopefully I can use a light board, but we'll see. Okay, so I know I told you about the awesomeness of the battery-powered light board. However, I'm going to need to use this one, and I currently have a painting attached to the back side of it because I was needing extra board, and this is a nice hard board to put a painting on. But anyway, I have to use this one. It's so much slimmer than the battery operated one that I have, because the one I have comes with like an easel. You can stand it up on the table to be at an angle, but since I'm working in a book that is bound, I need the thinnest thing I can, so I will be using the one that takes a power cord, sadly. So just got to get a long enough power cord. So if you wonder why I'm not using the battery operated one, that's the reason why. Now begins the second half of the sketchbook challenge. The next 4.5 hours is what it ends up being, ironically. And it's all just putting my sketches under there and tracing them into the final sketchbook exactly how I want them. And again, like I mentioned with this kitchen one, you can see I moved that cabinet area and the oven behind him farther up. And that is the power of sketching on a separate piece of paper. And then, yeah, I messed up, tried Posca, ended up using my Copic opaque white to try and cover a line luckily that's stuff I get to all fix when I transfer these into my computer and make the coloring books for you guys. I can have perfect lines. And all those rulers are coming in handy. You see I am using both the big one and the small one, just like I mentioned to you guys already. Grabbing my phone for lots and lots of references, dreading when I have to transfer the super intricate drawings like this shop face here. And there's still more I should probably put in this one, like windows for the apartments above and stuff like that. But I didn't. I'll just leave it at that. I didn't. And then sometimes I transfer directly with my fine liner. It saves time instead of doing the pencil first. So when you can do that, I recommend that because you don't have to do pencil and then go over it again with a fine liner, which is a time saver. I forgot I wasn't going to ink this one until I put the tracing over for this one because it's hard to see the tracing through all the ink when you flip it like that. Oops. So I was just thinking I'm going to get every single page done in order. Even though before I had told myself, no, just wait just a minute. Oh well, I always have transfer paper. If I can't use my light board, I can use transfer paper. It's just sometimes transfer paper is messy, so the light board is my first preference. It was hard to see some of the lines. I had to keep flipping up, but for the most part, it worked, and I figured the time-saving efforts of using the fine liner right from the get-go were worth not being able to see some of the lines underneath. And I did have to use transfer paper a little bit later, but it wasn't too big of a deal. Just have to be careful with transfer paper. I noticed the fine liner even didn't like going over the lines of the transfer paper. It kind of had a wax resist, even though it's supposed to be graphite and erasable and wax-free. I don't think it is. This here is another good example of why I do these sketches on a separate piece of paper, because I want to shorten that arm. And I wish I had my smaller scissors handy, but I'd have to get up and there's a cat on my lap. But I can just cut this out somewhere like there. So cool to have this option. And now I can put it on a blank piece of paper so I can kind of see what I'm doing and figure out, because right now that arm was clear down there and it's way too long. So I can just slide it till I get it where it looks about like it should. Kind of like that right there. And then I just take a piece of tape. Preferably it would be a clear piece of tape, but I don't have a clear piece of tape downstairs. I only have clear tape upstairs. So I'm going to take a small piece of my masking tape that I always have on the side of the desk and redo the arm since I let it fall. Tape that, and then I can transfer it. I just want to take a look and make sure I am happy with that arm, and yes I am. Okay, transfer time. That was easy. Love it. And then we just get into the meat of the second half of this challenge. Really, it is the meat of it. So this was really cool because I didn't have to think on this part. So it was just busy work, and it was so much easier than the first half. I didn't have to come up with the ideas. I didn't have to have the imagination. I didn't have to have that fear of the drawing and if it would come out okay, and does the cat look like the cat's supposed to look like, and what about all the background. But you will notice on some of these sketches I did leave some things that I needed to sketch in when I was doing the final, and like the grass here in this jungle scene. Later when I do the other jungle scene, this is the African safari scene. Sorry, I said jungle, but I meant safari. Same difference. Anyway, in the jungle scene later for the term lush, I have to do all that background. So I put in like the base sketch in the first 4.5 hours, knowing that I'm going to have to fill in a jungle in the background somehow. And then some sketches I just left very open. There's the jungle one that I was talking about right now. So I'm putting in what I sketched, but then I have to look up a ton of references for what a jungle looks like. And I was kind of scared to put in the background, but it wasn't as hard as I thought. None of this is as hard as I think it's going to be once I just get into it. But backgrounds have always been kind of scary for me. So I have, I think, a couple months of Skillshare left. I am going to, when I get back from vacation, see if I can take some background drawing courses on Skillshare, and hopefully have a little more confidence with those. But it worked out okay. I think that one's one of my favorites, so that's ironic, isn't it? But back to this part being so much easier than when I had to come up with the ideas for the drawing. I didn't have to take that half-hour break this time. I worked the whole time straight through. I only stopped at 4.5 hours. Well, first of all, I had an appointment I had to get to again, but because it was a good stopping point, I'm like, oh, I'm done filling in the pages on the sketchbook. Now I have time to paint, but I want to do that all in one go. So this challenge for me ended up being a 4.5 hour stretch, another 4.5 hour stretch, and then an hour stretch for a total of 10 hours. And I'm about to show you here when I'm done with this time lapse what I get done. But you can see I used my phone here to shine the stars through to kind of get an idea for the flag. That was kind of cool. I didn't know if that would work, and it totally worked. And there's another example of why the little ruler is handy, because it doesn't cross both pages and it doesn't get all bumped. Star Trek convention, anyone? This is one of my favorite sketches too. I love Star Trek. I always call it track because I grew up that way. My dad didn't say it correctly, I guess, so to speak. I don't know. Steven, my husband, he's always like, it's Trek, it's Trek. I'm like, I don't care. It's how I grew up with it. Anyway, do you say Trek or track? Curious. I was really glad that I had a goal for this project, because I think if I was just filling a sketchbook kind of randomly without this goal, I would have maybe asked myself, what was the point? Like, why am I trying to fill a sketchbook? Who cares? But this one has a reason. It has a goal, an end line. Like, I need to get my coloring book out. I need to finish this sketchbook with this theme before the next Inktober comes up, because then I'm going to be like moving on to the next theme. So I think that really helped. I don't know that you guys need to push yourself to just fill a sketchbook, because it's there for your enjoyment. And if you're just pushing yourself for the sake of pushing yourself, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it might be worth it. You know what I mean? They are all in there. Every single sketch is in there. Every single page is filled. We have 1 hour left in the challenge. So in that 1 hour, I'm thinking I will paint what I can paint in an hour, starting at the beginning, because I can't paint the new sketches. I still have to take pictures of them and put them on my computer so that they are part of my coloring book, because I already have the first 31 as part of the coloring book. So I want to add those first. So I can't paint any new ones, even though I would love to paint that one. But yes, this is page 1. Here, I'll just zoom out and you can do double page spread so it's not so long. But the sketchbook is 100% complete. This is incredible. And the day went much faster today, I think, than the first session, because it was just busy work, right? You didn't have to be creative and use your brain and like come up with the idea and sketch and be confident in your sketch or not. So it was much easier today than the first time around. I can't believe this. This has been on my mind for so long. Oh, wow. And it's done. It's done. And all I have to do is the fun painting part. I love that. I love that so much. Wow. I forgot I was going to put a baker's hat on him, and it makes me really sad that I forgot to do that. But maybe I can do that on the digital version. Like when I take a picture of this, I can add it on the coloring book version, is what I mean to say. I think that would be pretty cool. Oh, I see a mistake here. We need her little belly to come over. There we go. That looks way more better. Cool. All right. So yeah, flowers would just be painted back here. Maybe I'll draw in some flowers. I didn't know what to draw in the background for Grateful. Some of this I think would be fun to leave up to you guys who get my coloring book. What will you put in the background? So I intentionally left some a little bit more blank and then just kind of gave general outlines on others. That way you can be creative with it. That one's cute. Love that one. The den is, that's so scary. A jungle. That's one of my favorites. This one's kind of cool. This one's just very simple. It only took me a few minutes to do that one, thankfully. Sometimes you need those, right? I think this could be a sea in the background, obviously, an ocean is what I mean to say. Getting a message in a bottle, so painting in the ocean should be sure fun. camo with the flag. Star Trek convention. Him watching that movie. Oh, what was that movie called with the little Land Before Time? Yeah, that's it for a dinosaur or dino world. He's so cute in this picture. And Origin of the Rainbow, right? All right, that's it. That's the end. Ah, that's so cool. All right, it looks like the binding on this is kind of loose. It looks like it was maybe never even actually glued there, so I think it's fine. It's all together and it's still attached. Just gives it a little bit of sticky outiness there unless you push it back in. I assume you can get these sketchbooks again this year. I'll look, and if so, I'll link it down below for you. But all right, we have 1 hour left. We are gonna paint and see how many pages we can do in 1 hour. So the first painting we have to do is this guy. I have painted him a few times. Here's a couple of those iterations. I really like that one actually. I was trying a whole bunch of different paper out, and these are only some of the iterations. I've done even more than these three guys, but I've also tested all of the colors, different cats, and got your vote on that. Decided on that one basically. So I'm still trying to figure out how to paint this one. I like this. I like this background. Oh, here's another one. All right, well, we're just gonna get started. Start at the front, go page by page, and see how many pages we get painted in an hour. I suspect it won't be many. By the way, one of you lovely Patreon supporters wanted to see my Iron Man with metallics, and I found it while I was getting those kitties out of the drawer. So here that is. I love it. So much fun. All right, back to this. Well, I just have to say, ugh and yuck. Painting on this paper is horrible, you guys. It's horrible. It's supposed to be, what I ordered was supposed to be cold pressed watercolor paper. This is not cold pressed. It's maybe hot pressed. Is it even watercolor paper? I can't tell. It is so dang slick. It's really hard to paint on. So even if I choose a cheap pulp paper for my coloring book, you guys, it will be better than this. I can guarantee you that. But you can see I got that one painting done, and then I realized I'm in a sketchbook. If I have one page wet and then flip it over, that's going to be a challenge. But the painting didn't stay very wet very long on this paper, so that was a bonus. And then it took me the whole time to paint just these two paintings and the cat, fill in the cat on the previous page you're seeing right before this pirate one. So yeah, painting apparently takes a long time, but can you see how streaky the paint is on this paper? And it's not the paint. I actually really like this paint. So, that's the Himi Mia. Still trying to use it up. I think I've linked that for you. If not, I'll link it right now. But, oh, I forgot. I just did the 2 pages, but I did have time to do these knots, or the rope on the knots page. So, a little more than 2 pages. That's a bonus. Well, that was certainly a good lesson for me. I can tell you that much. So if I'm just drawing with a pencil, it seems like I can get a lot done in 10 hours time in a sketchbook. In fact, I finished this one for the pencil drawing and even the line art, right? We call those fine liners. But the painting part, I only finished 2 paintings, just 2 paintings in an hour. So if I'm going to finish painting this, that means that, yeah, there's 1, 2 that are already done, but that's approximately 25 hours more work to finish painting that sketchbook. Holy moly. Not only that, I wanted to do it all with my Himi Mia Use It Up challenge paint, which I happen to have right here because I'm trying to use it up. It's always nearby. And watercolor doesn't work great on that paper. So am I going to stick with this? Am I going to switch to gouache? Because I think gouache would work a lot better, or acrylic. But I really want to use this up. But painting on that paper is not so enjoyable with watercolor. So I have my work cut out for me. Like, this was a 10-hour stretch in sketchbook, and that's all I got done. All, I think is a lot actually. But to think that there's at least 25 hours more of painting, and some of those paintings are more intricate, left before I can finish the coloring in that is intense. Like, I would have to take these long stretches again and actually really dedicate time to that, and maybe I'll do that. I think that would be probably really beneficial to me. so I can grab that feeling of accomplishment. Plus, I still need to add all those new pictures into my coloring book that I'm going to release for everyone, and I'm so excited about it. So for this particular sketchbook to actually be 100% complete, I probably have, I'm guessing, 50 hours of work left. That's the painting and taking the pictures and transferring the pictures into coloring book, plus maybe even a little bit longer because I have to do the coloring book layout. It's a whole thing. I'll show that to you guys someday. However, taking the dedicated time to work on that sketchbook, because it was a separate project, was really neat. It just goes to show me that sometimes in my art studio, in my art life, I feel like I'm not getting a whole lot done. And now I know why. Because painting takes time. Drawing, not too much. That was still pretty intense, drawing, and it was intense in my brain, like to think of all the ideas and all the pictures and stuff. That was pretty tiring, but the painting is just like, I can't believe it took that long. I'm shocked. I guess I should be proud of what I get done with my art life, and that's the lesson basically that I took away from this. And I cannot wait to see everyone else's videos. Again, check that out in the description box below. See what lessons they learned from their experience during this sketchbook challenge. I'm really grateful to you, Mrs. Barnabas, for suggesting this idea. Thank you so much. This was really fun. It was challenging. And we didn't even do it like the lady that you originally showed us did it, so kudos to her. Alright guys, I'm out of here again on another adventure, and guess what? I'm taking a sketchbook with me. Probably not that one though. Alright, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye for now. In this video, we are going to see how much we can do in a sketchbook in 10 hours of time. 10 hours is time. Bing! That alone is a good point because it is hard to time find. But painting, only four. Okay, I'm just talking too much. So for that particular sketchbook, she's sassy. Of course, I get the camera out and she stops being sassy. Sassy pants.
Gotta rile her up.
What are you doing, Jack? He's like, I'm tired. I'm out. Well, now they're growling. There's Bruno.
Doopy. Doopy doo doo. Sparrow.
Probably. Jeez, Rocky. Oh, they have a ball. That's something. What are these two doing? Little twins.